Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 46 of our Let's Play series, Stalingrad to Berlin, War in the East 2. In this episode, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Episode 47 as well. It was a really exciting end to episode 45, if you recall, as we had successfully kind of broken through and forced the German players' hands north of Idritsa here. And we also pretty much accomplished all of our goals in and around Smolensk. Right, we had this breakout down here. They have been unable to respond to it, and as a result, they have just done a mass withdrawal, so as to not risk encirclement from us coming up behind them. So these were huge developments in the last episode. And if we look in the south here too, we see things are still going well for us in Crimea. Stalino, it would appear they're really starting to withdraw out of. They have this SS Panzer Grenadier Division, but that's really about all standing in our way. And all along here, they have really pulled back and weakened their front line. And this north-south rail line that has been just kind of this pearl in my eye for the, I don't know, last 10 turns I've been talking about it. We finally look like we have a realistic chance of getting it in the next turn or two based off of the withdrawals. All around, I think we have had some very successful breakthroughs which are forcing the German player back, and I think we're going to see some very positive gains. So as a result of that, let's take a look at the weather to see how much we can use our air forces in this next turn. On the ground, we see that the weather is pretty clear for us. There is some light mud in the far rear of our lines, but nothing near the front line, and it's kind of sporadic. And when we look in the air, we see there is some rain, but again, it's kind of in the rear. So it's looking like we're going to be able to actually have a fair amount of air operation groups running. Looking at next turn, though, it turns to all rain, and on the ground, you'll see that we start to get some more mud moving in, and I think in even the following turn, 2 turns from now, I think we're going to see a lot more mud because of all the rain that's accumulating. It's just a hunch. We'll see how it actually turns out. But as a result of that, of the rain incoming next turn, what I want to do is I want to this turn be much more direct with our air usage. So I've gone into our directives, or excuse me, our air doctrines, and we're still using the AI assist to create the actual air operational group missions and movement of reserves and pilots and all of these different aspects the AI can help you with. And I've changed the minimum weather to poor on most of these for ground support, recon, and superiority. So that way we're going to be toggling the ground support option on a lot more this turn, because the ground we can take and the advantages we can push this turn are going to have, I think, a lot of meaning because we have these breakthrough points in the line. Additionally, I've bumped up the intensity of recon to medium. It was on low because it's going to be important for us to know as we move into territory beyond our fog of war line of sight, right? We really need to know what's out there. Right, and if I'm going to push through, say, south of the pocket or try to break through here, I really want to try to know what's there if I possibly can. And that goes along the front line, where we just want to have more visibility than we otherwise might be looking at. So all of that said, let's go ahead and operate the air phase. Excuse me, execute the air phase. So we'll go ahead and do that. We should see a slightly higher number of sorties here this week than we have in past weeks. Day 2, we're already up to 270. So we're probably going to end the week at about 600, I would guess. Maybe 700. Which is pretty good. Maybe we won't hit 700. Day 6, where we'll have a lot of recon flying. Yeah, so we're just going to hit about 600 probably, if that. Okay, 575. So hopefully that gave us some good insights into where the enemy is and what's going on. In terms of counterattacks last turn, there were none. from the Germans, which again is a testament to just how on the back foot they must be feeling right now. So we're going to dive right in and start looking at where do we go next, right? And we know that this line south of Leningrad, there probably isn't going to be much for us to have fun with there. And that's fine because it's not our focus, right? Let's keep the eye on the prize, and that prize is not pushing south from Leningrad. It is cutting off Peskov. It is cutting off Idritsa, Rezekne, and Riga, forcing them to either pull entirely out of the Baltic states or to, well, be encircled, frankly, is what it will come down to, is those two options. So looking past this southern Leningrad front as we go south here, we see a couple of areas here we're probably a little bit better than 1-to-1, so we're not going to be able to break through. We've had this hex for a while where it's just kind of a no man's land, and that's fine. Right here we've actually got quite a buildup because of a couple of rifle corps, or a rifle corps, excuse me, and a bunch of rifle divisions where, you know, maybe we move the rifle corps up and try to push through. No, I don't think we will, because one of the reasons that we have such stronger defenses here is they do have a combined 48 combat value here, and if we take out that rifle corps, I bet you they get pretty close to being able to break through, because they have some strong units on the other side of the fence here too. So there's not going to be too much fun for us here, which is fine because there's plenty of fun elsewhere. That I can assure you. Down here, I think we're going to keep advancing because they've started to withdraw even further. So let's go ahead and take these units up. And let's have them go ahead and... Oh, no, they have 14. Okay, never mind. That's a little much for us. I don't know we're going to be able to get in here, counterattack, so that might just have to stay as is. It says there's a Sturm Brigade and something else, but we don't know what this something else is. But it estimates the defensive combat value of 14. I'm going to attack and see what happens. Okay, so there's an infantry division committed to the defense. Okay, yeah, and our commander withdrew pretty quickly. They hit 750 and they just came back. Okay, so it was actually 14. When we see these numbers here for the enemy, by the way, it's actually not always an exact science. There can be some fog of war coming into play there to know exactly what it is their combat value is going to be. This is where we get interesting, right here, right? And before I actually focus specifically on, say, this unit, right, what I really want to do is... I think the first thing I want to do is see, can I get my strongest possible infantry division out here to reinforce that hex? I don't know that we're going to be able to. And the closest, strongest would probably be the 14th Rifle Corps. And yeah, there's no way it can make it out there. So what we're going to have to do instead is say, you know, we might lose these two units. And I don't think we'll actually use them, because what we'll probably end up doing is pushing into this hex, thus ensuring that we'll end the turn without this unit being isolated, so they could retreat, if at all possible. So it won't be a true encirclement this turn. But what we're going to do is, I think, start here in the south, and this is where they kind of have their weak points. We're going to say, okay, where can we break through here to continue pushing towards Rezekne? And one of the first areas I want to look at is just going straight here towards Rezekne on this rail line, because that's also going to get us then in behind their units, which then can act as a bit of a, okay, you're trying to encircle us, well, we'll try to encircle you type of situation, right? I think we'll take like the 9th Tank Corps and have them just do a deliberate attack. Oh, there was an infantry division committed. I shouldn't have been so hands off about that, but it ended up being okay. Now let's bring up, for example, this Rifle Corps. And 6 Rifle Corps can't make it. So bring up this mechanized unit. And we'll bring up this Tank Corps. These two units were going to move up. And what happens now if we attack here? So let's try to push these guys back. They retreated. Good. Right. Now this mechanized unit can move up. Didn't want to do that. I did not want to do that. Shoot. I got trigger happy and acted too quickly. Let's get this tank core up here. And let's also get this 3rd Guards tank core here. I think we'll take the 15th here. And what I want to do is try to break through here, which we were successful in doing. Okay, so they retreated. Don't have any way to move those guys out. Now we can keep bringing up these tank cores. Right, and we can continue pressing our advantages. Let's see what we have back here. 22nd tank corps can come up. Here we're going to bring up some of these units to reinforce, right? So now we have defensive value of 31. We'll bring up 13th tank corps there. Bring up the 14th tank corps there. So now we have 31, 22, 9. So we need to reinforce this one a little bit more. Let's take the 4th tank corps there. And we'll take one of these rifle corps down here too, I think. So I can just switch you there. So now we have plenty defending here. You know, we're going to keep putting the pressure on here. For example, with these units to press here. So we retreated them back. There we go. So now that's less pressure they can put to try to push us. This rifle corps I would really like to get just about anywhere else. Can I take back... Who's my weakest unit here? They're all pretty weak, but the 4th tank corps might be the weakest. So can I take you back and instead have this rifle corps come up here? Good. Good news. We'll bring that tank corps south, right, and we'll look at trying to push here. We actually have another drop there. So let's attack here. 48 to 15. Good. They retreat it. Move. Let's see. Can we break through here? I think that's 2 to 1. Ah, there is an infantry division committed. So they're going to hold. We took some heavier casualties there. Okay, very well. Let's see. We can take that 260th rifle over there, though. Then we'll also bring up the tank corps. And then we will take this tank corps. We are going to try to break through a little here. Wish I could get someone else down there. Doesn't look like I have anyone left. Oh no. Can this mechanized unit come down? No. I don't have enough either. You're just infantry. Yeah, we don't really have much else mechanized that has movement points available for this. maybe the fourth mechanized can't make it either. Okay, so they might just have to stick out there. Let's see if we take everything here. Yeah, it's not going to work either. I wonder if it's worth pulling back another heck. No, we're going to leave them there. We're gonna get hurt, so we're gonna bring them back. They would just, it doesn't, I don't know if they would, but they had 24 to 8 odds there, which is already a 3-to-1 if they do nothing else. And you know, honestly, I feel like I maybe did all these moves a little bit too quickly. Because I feel like I made a couple of mistakes throughout all of that. But you know I'm prone to do that if you have watched this series for any length of time. Can we go here? We can go there. Is it worth... Really almost want to attack them since I've already pushed them back this turn. Let's do it. I can't. Shoot. Okay. These are all HQ units. All of them. And we need to start moving them off. There we go. So we've reassigned some of those HQ units. I'm going to actually, I think, take the artillery up here and toss them on reserve. And let's take a look here, just while we're in the area with our rail repair, right? Let's move you here. Let's repair that rail. Let's repair that rail. And then you're just going to have to hold out another turn here. But this way we are getting these repaired pretty quickly. And we already have this one repaired. So as soon as we get the crossroads that is Dritsa, then we'll have all 3 of these hex also supported by rails, which will allow us to get depots closer and closer to the line as we continue our breakout, right? So that's all good news. Down here we could maybe break through there, maybe. Feels like a bit of a stretch. We don't even have 2-to-1, so I think we'll just hold. And I think what we'll do is we will take... I think we're going to take one of these. Take this rifle core, and I'm going to move them back here. Right, just get them ready to keep pushing further west. Here they have the combined 33 versus our 29, so we're fine. Okay. Down here, this all looks very different, right? Because they've started to actually pull back. So we're going to start a bit of a pivot motion here, right, to continue pressing them. Oh, that was a mistake. That was a terrible mistake. So we're going to go back. Yeah, they're in retreat, but they've got some strong units here still. A Panzer division and then 3 infantry divisions. No, sorry, 2 Panzer divisions, 2 infantry divisions. Just would have been way too much for that stack sitting right there. Right here even, they have 40 combat value attack, so it's quite high. But up here at the very least, we can start moving these units down. Yeah, the terrain really sucks up here. Just one of the reasons they weren't able to break through. Boy, these tank brigades. let's do something fun with one of these tank brigades. What happens when we go there? Oh, they don't stop us. What happens when we go there? Okay then. So yeah. Let's let's start advancing, right? It's like this mechanized corps will bring up here. We'll go there. Captured this depot. That's nice. And now we can have all the infantry come up. So let's see here, these mechanized units, I really want you guys to go down here. We're just going to go a little crazy here with getting in behind them. We are going to go a little crazy with this. That is all okay. Let's put this cavalry corps up here on this hill. See, defensive value 43 in behind them. Look at that. And that now pretty much effectively stops this panzer unit from being able to come down here and counter our mechanized unit that is quickly racing towards Minsk, it would seem. I don't think it's actually going to get to a point where they can get that far, but there are lots of shades of July 1941 here with what we're doing, honestly. Let's see if we can get behind them here, too. Ooh. That's not good. They're going to get their butts handed to them, and they're almost out of fuel. That's not good. Went a little too crazy with that one. That one was a mistake. I can admit that. That one was a mistake. Let's get a rifle division up here just to help defend that hex a little bit. We'll get this rifle guards unit up here. Then I think we'll actually pull them back looking at that because they have 43 versus our 13. So we'll just go there. We'll take both of these units and just have them go here. Right. You can come here. Now what we want to do is take these guys, start moving this line forward. Some of this cavalry I'm going to have come up here. Didn't want to go that far. Really didn't want to go that far. Now we're a little committed to it. So let's take... Shoot, none of you have enough to get there. Take that rifle division. Okay, we'll take that rifle division up there. 16. Ooh, that is just not going to be enough. So what we'll do is we'll also be behind them. Have this mechanized unit move up here. We're we're actually gonna just take that airfield to make sure they can't use it. I think just in case the worst happens, it's gonna sound silly, but I'm going to keep like this rifle division in Smolensk just in case, right? It again seems a little ridiculous, but just never know sometimes. Let's bring these guys up here. Okay. So we need to move a few HQ units up, is the short story here. Supplies are going to start to become a thing. This is ironically one of the most critical hexes in all of this, because this is where they can cut us off. So I think I'm going to leave you there, because that forces them, if they want to attack from the south, they have to enter our zone of control next to us there and then attack. And we are in a very defensive position with a defensive value of 20 there. I might actually even take up a unit here. And I take these guys and have them break through here, 6-1. They retreat it. Still have 33 defensive value. Full on tank core stack here. Almost have 2-1. It doesn't quite make sense to have us attack with them. I think what I would rather do is have them come up here. Right. There we go. Set you to reserve. I'll set you to reserve. And then over here, I'm going to take you down there. It's not great odds, but it should be enough to hold. And we can take up one tank core to help reinforce it, and now we're certainly good enough. Yeah. We have moved so far forward. Our HQ units are in such a tenuous position. My goodness, supply is going to be really tough this next turn. But you see, here's what I find really interesting. If my prediction is right, and if 2 turns from now it's heavy mud, I think at minimum we're going to be able to keep all of these gains, which is just stunning, right? Having this breakthrough here like this. And if it's not, then it should allow us to still be mobile enough to keep going. Kind of a win-win. The weather turning worse would... I don't know if the weather turning worse would be better for the Germans or better for us in 2 turns. Because in another sense, the heavy rain, mud, all of these things also hamper their mobility and their ability to supply. As it does us. But effectively it means both parties can't attack. But since I have such an initiative and such an advantage right now, I think it'd probably be better for the Germans if the weather did turn. And you know, this is again one of those situations. We might very well like have this unit, and this unit all shattering or routing next turn, right? That's okay. Holy crap, that is okay. Because what we have done here is going to be so impactful. Right, like think about this. All of these units here, were probably getting the majority of their supplies routed through Minsk, right? It was probably coming from the national source of supplies in Germany proper to Warsaw, then up to Minsk, and then up here to these units. So, yeah. There's this one double-sided rail line they still have here. It's going north-south that they're actually sitting on, right? And then over here, these units, all they have is this one line coming in here, which is still pretty considerable. But really, supplies would have to go from Riga over there, and then they'd have to come into Riga via the port or come from, say, Königsberg via rail. So this has gotten very interesting. The fronts, I'm actually going to move up here. Things like the Third Army and all of that, and the Kalinin front. Yeah, just in general need to move some of these HQ units up because we have... Oh, these are rifle divisions, my goodness. We had rifle divisions that were on refit there. You weren't probably quite ready to be done, but you're pretty close. We're going to bring you up to the front line now. Where best to bring you? I'm going to say here. And actually, now looking at this, we have 74 versus their 42. 74 versus their 42. Let's turn ground support on. And let's have some fun. 84 to 42, 2-to-1 odds. Let's do it. We won. There we go. See, that felt good. And actually, let's take a look here at that result. That is impressive. They only managed 7 air superiority fighters versus all of our ground support. So I bet you here when we look at ground losses, and like they lost 8 armor, right? Oh, none of them were from air, really. Did they not suffer any losses from air? No, they did. They lost 2 mortars. That doesn't seem really impactful, does it? A lot were disrupted, right? And I should really be fair. A lot of times the air is going to have more an influence in disrupting an interdiction and all of that of units than they will actually destroying a unit, to be fair. And really that was one of their, I don't want to say primary purposes because they weren't built just to disrupt ground forces, but it was just a known thing of how effective it was if the enemy soldier was sitting in a foxhole, right? And artillery is one thing, and it was very common by this point in warfare. But another thing entirely that you're sitting there in that foxhole, and think about it, right? One of the things about the foxhole is it protects you from enemy fire that is kind of parallel to the ground, right? And the thought is get below the ground so that you're out of range of those bullets, right? The bullet doesn't arc up and then come down on you into your foxhole. But for enemy aircraft, they would start above you in the sky and they would just come blazing down a front, firing their machine guns. And they don't even have to be that effective. It's such a terrorizing experience. There are lots of eyewitness accounts of just how impactful that was on the soldiers' morale, that when their side lost air superiority, they just felt like they were constantly in danger of being strafed by the enemy. And that can be really impactful on the morale of a soldier. Because you just certainly feel like there's just nothing you can do about it, right? Normally I save this for turn 2, but I've already clicked on it. We already did it down by Adritsa, but I'm going to look here at rail repair. So let's see. And yeah, we're going to be able to move you closer, and then next turn you should be in range. The 6th Army and the Northwestern Front, I'm going to move both of them further west. The range on fronts is, I think it's 90 hexes is what their max range is. So, I mean, it is quite substantial. But one of the other things to keep in mind with the fronts and those air HQs is that is kind of the determination of which air bases, and you set the stance of air armies to retreat, advance, flexible, and the other one's rest, I think. Older rest, I can't remember. You set those stances, and if you're advanced, right, it is always going to be as far up as it can to wherever that air army group and front HQ is. Actually, I think it might only be the front. I'm not entirely sure I'm not entirely sure the chip for the air army HQ actually matters on the position. I think it's just the front that the air army is attached to. That's the position that matters the most there. We've got some more units out of supply we need to move up. Not out of supply necessarily, but out of command range. Yeah. Oh boy, it's you. Yeah, they're way out there. They're way out there. This artillery unit will move up here and set them on reserve. Okay, so we have now worked through the line through Smolensk. Let's keep going east. Right, still lots to take a look at. We don't have any opportunity to counterattack here, it would seem, and that makes sense because we've actually taken forces from this line and moved them over. Some of the only ones would be here, for example, against this Netherlands SS Infantry Regiment. But we've had that opportunity for many turns now, but we're not taking it because I just don't know we gain anything here. We're kind of content having this line stay static, and literally as I'm saying these words, I'm looking at the line and going, but this situation has changed. And here's what I mean by that. We now have an opportunity to have at least 2-to-1 odds against this hex, this hex, this hex, and this hex. Right? That's not something we've had historically. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep ground support on. We're going to attack here, 3-to-1. There's an infantry division committed, but let's see if we can still win. We did. Then we're going to take this stack here, 3-to-1. They rout it. Then we're going to take this stack. They held. No. No. No, says Emperor Palpatine. Let's take these stacks and we'll hit that Niederland SS regiment. They retreat it. There we go. So we have pushed back now 3 of the hexes on that line. Move up that rifle division. Move them there. That's 13 now. Move you here. And we'll take you down here. It's 11 versus 11, so we're good now. Now next turn we'll have just a little bit more firepower to push here against them. Down here we're not going to move into this hex because they have this motorized unit as well as 2 infantry that are going to be quite capable of counterattacking. I wonder if we continue pushing though. We have 2-to-1 still, let's do it. And we routed them, so I think that was a good decision. Because now that's not a unit they can bring back to the front, and now they have to defend 1, 2, 3 hexes that currently they don't have a unit for. And just looking at it, there are only 2 spots on this entire section of the front where they have more than 1 unit in a hex. So this stretches their decision making. Good. Excellent. Excellent outcomes. Down here we have more opportunities to push through, like right here, and we're going to do it because of the success we had over here. If this didn't happen, I wouldn't take these 2 units to attack here. But because that happened, I want to see if I can't get this unit to rout, thus making the situation even worse for the German player. So let's take both of these. We'll leave ground support on. It's almost 5-1. Oh, an infantry division was committed to the defense, so they only retreated instead of actually being routed, which is a little unfortunate. Down here, though, we have another opportunity. We're going to take these 2 units. It's almost 3-1. Romanian cavalry is committed, and an infantry division, so they're going to hold. Yeah, and they did. That's a little unfortunate. Down here, it looks like we can have more joy, though. So we can break through. We have to pick and choose, right? We could break through here, and then here and here. Or we can take these 2 and break through here and here. I think it's going to make more sense to put pressure on this side, because that's going to then give the impression that the LAHS SS Panzergrenadier Division needs to make a decision of pulling back as opposed to counterattacking, where we're actually a little weak on the front line here right now. So let's push this way. So to do that, we're going to take this entire stack and have them attack. Well, actually, let's be smart about this. Let's be smart about this. First, we're going to go with this guards unit, and we're going to have them do a deliberate attack. Ah, they had a committed unit. I need to be more aware of that, I think. Anyways, this now leaves us with 19. What my thought is if we take this rifle corps here, now if we attack this, it's 3-1. They retreated. We should now still have enough left over to push here. We're actually going to move up. We're going to take these 2 and attack. They retreated. I'm going to take you up here, and I'm going to attack. Another infantry division committed. They had 2 Luftwaffe field divisions retreat. Okay. Yeah, that went well. I like how that went. The next turn, we have a very good chance here. Do we actually have a chance this turn? Can we make that work somehow? No, we can't. But we tried and we did it anyways. We have pushed back the entire line, guys. Look at that. The entire line has been pushed back. I'm going to move back that rifle corps. Wow. Wow, that went really well. Okay. So the front around Aryol is going very well. That's from the HQ unit, so that's going to repair stuff on its own. We should actually be pretty, yeah, we're very well repaired out here in terms of railroads, excuse me, not rail yards. Bryansk front. I'm going to move down because I am assuming, yeah, the depot that we have is in Aryol. Yeah, I should have noticed this earlier. They definitely need to be right there. And then these guys are getting supplied actually out of this hex. We're going to move them here. Good stuff. All right, now looking to the west of Aryol. This is pretty much the only thing we need to consider, right, about a risk. And I'm really not too worried about it. Because I think the worst thing that happens here is that these two units rout. I think that's the worst thing that can happen. Does it maybe make sense? I think this does make sense. I think I might retreat you here. And you back one as well. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? I think you come back here. I think that makes sense. I just don't know that there's a reason to take a loss against those guys. So I'm going to move you back here. I'm going to move you back here. Yeah. Because now they have to commit to being very aggressive. Right? They lose a lot of movement points, a lot of combat prep to go into our hex, get within our zone of control again, then attack, and then withdraw. So I think we're going to do that. And then we're going to continue to put pressure then on this side of their flank to again pretend like we're going to get in behind them. So I'm going to take this entire stack and attack, because I wouldn't be surprised if this mountain division is committed to the defense. So we're not taking any chances. They were not, so it didn't matter. We're then going to take these two stacks here, which is 3 to 1. They retreat it. And now I'm going to move you up. And we'll move this rifle corps up too. Did we attack? I think we might. Yeah, I think we're going to attack. Infantry division committed. So they held. That's too bad. So now they do have 2 to 1 if they attack. So I think I'll take this rifle division. Oh, we can't move them there. That makes sense because there's already 3 in that hex. Let's take a look at this rifle corps and see what we can assign to it. I'm going to add an anti-tank regiment to it. Oh, pretty weak there with just a brigade, but that'll be okay. Looking further down here, I think we'll push back this hex. Right, 30 to 8. We retreat it. Look at that. We had better than 1 to 1 kills in armor. Let's take a look at that. We haven't done this much in the last couple episodes, and I feel like we should have, because I really enjoyed taking a look at these losses. It's been a little, there's been so much to do in the previous episodes though. 12 Stug 3s destroyed. 12. Wow, that is just exciting. It really is. What's a little interesting is we haven't been seeing this again because we haven't been paying too much attention to the detailed combat battle results. But what I would point out to you is that you see now we have the Su-76, Su-152 seeing action here. As a reminder, there's actually a third self-propelled element in kind of this series, which is the Su-122, which we're very short on production of right now. And it kind of goes larger the number, the larger the gun caliber and the strength of the unit in terms of countering heavier armor. So the Su-76 being the lightest version of the self-propelled gun in the series, the Su-152 being one of the much heavier versions of it. The Soviets would go on to continue building even larger versions than the Su-152. It wasn't the largest that they built during the war or after the war. But for this time period, it would be, I would draw a parallel. It'd be kind of like the comparison of like a KV to like a Panzer III or something like that at 1941, right? Where if you're comparing the Su-76 to the 152 in terms of gun penetration, accuracy, range, yada, yada, yada. So really good battle result for us here. We lost more men. They lost more tank, or more armor, I should specify, because a Stug 3 isn't technically a tank per se. and about equal on gun losses, which I find a little funny considering we had 10 times the number of guns and 8 times the number of men attacking. Wow, okay. Down here, we're just going to have to hold the line, and there's not any problem with that per se. But over here, we can really start pushing through. So let's take this unit and attack. Okay, so they rout it. Then I'm going to take this rifle corps and take this stack and have them attack. And they retreat it. Alright. Now I'm going to move up this stack. And I'm going to have them attack. Mountain Division committed to the defense. And they held. That just seems a little ridiculous. Just seems a little ridiculous. Let's attack again. Well, there's a tank corps attack. Jeez. I didn't see the tank corps. That kind of changed the equation quite a bit. Okay, very well. We'll keep pushing through here then. Romanian armor. And a first tank. Jeez. My goodness. Now here's again good news though. Look at that. They again lost more armor than us. That is not sustainable for the German player at this point, especially in the war. And these oh, Romanian. Okay, that's what these are, Romanian. And it says right here. I don't know why I didn't see that right off the bat. Yeah. Okay, so they lost Romanian armor. So that's a little less impactful, but it's still armor. Okay, well, let's try pushing through here. I'm feeling like I need to do a little bit of research on exactly how it is. Has it all been the same tank corps over here for all of these battles that it's helped with? That doesn't feel right. It makes me think that there's another over here, because it's not specifying which tank corps it is. Okay, we're going to attack here again. That time they retreated. And then we have these units in reserve. And actually looking at them, I think their TOE is a little low, isn't it? Yeah, medium tank 50%, recon 50%. Tank destroyers they have none of. So I might actually want to get these two into a refit status. But we'll bring you up here. We're going to have them help with this attack. Let's see. Yeah, it's these units that they have in reserve helping with the defense. It's just, that's what's doing it. I did not notice that those, that tank unit was defending there. Okay, I should have been a little more aware of my line, but thankfully everything's just fine. So this whole section here has been very disappointing. And you know what? We're at a pretty good time, so I think I'm going to stop right here. In episode 47, we'll go all the way down south here, all the way down to the Crimea, and then we will look to see. I'd really like to do another new mechanic, kind of how like previous episode we looked at leaders. But at the same time, I think we should also probably spend a little bit of time looking at Commander's Report, building new units, and looking at some of that stuff too. So we'll kind of play it by ear for the next episode, whether or not there's a specific new mechanic or if we do just some more clerical work in that turn. Because the clerical work, the term clerical, really does sound dull. Um, but one, for this type of game, I don't necessarily think it is, and I think there's probably an aspect to the clerical work that attracts all of you watching to this game, to be honest, if we're all being honest with ourselves. Um, Additionally, I think that sometimes you can learn some really good game mechanics from understanding that, again, air quotes, clerical work a little better that comes with this game. The maintenance, the behind the scenes, um, the supply chain wins the war, etc., etc., etc. And I think it's a bit of a nice cliffhanger to leave on too. That in the beginning of the episode, um, let's set this little challenge for ourselves, right? Can I take this whole rail line in the next turn? And I'm looking at it. I think I got a chance. This is a little bit of quoting a movie. So you're saying there's a chance. I think there's a chance we could take this rail line. So let's give it a shot. As always, thanks so much, guys, for watching the video, the series, and your continued support. Should you have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave them in the video comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. This has been an absolute blast, this episode, with those breakout pockets that we've had around Smolensk and Adritsa. And this game is just absolutely spectacular. If you're still on the fence about buying this, I don't know, man. I don't know what else to do to try to convince you here. This thing's just a masterpiece in my eyes. It really is. There are so few things I think it could do better. Pick it up if you haven't yet. So, as always, strategy gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.